Hey everyone, British Cake here. I've got a pretty special video to share with you today. I wrote this at about 5 AM this morning, and I hit export on the video you're about to see about 11.7 hours before that. Funny, 117. Coincidentally, 117 is also the number of hours of recorded gameplay used to make this video. Well, 117.5, but I rounded down. I did have to cut a lot of the footage to remove some boring parts. All in all, 400 hours of work was put into this across the span of about 2 years to create what may well be my greatest Forge map. I've been forging for a little over a decade now, and let me tell you, this is by far my magnum opus. For those that don't know, I actually have a background in architecture and construction, so I like to think that it gives me somewhat of an edge when it comes to understanding and conceptualizing 3D environments. When Halo Infinite's Forge was announced, I was a little overwhelmed. The possibilities, involved with scripting, the ability to scale most objects, object welding. It's a far cry from where things started out back on Reach. Hell, you had to re-enter the menu every time you needed a new block. No duplicate button back then. So when I saw what was possible in Infinite, I decided to challenge myself. I set myself the goal of creating a map that would push Infinite's Forge to its absolute limit. This latest version of Forge bumps the total number of blocks to 7,000. A 40% increase, or 2,000 blocks, over Halo 5. The scripting capabilities were also buffed as well as the lighting. The max player count was also increased from 16 to 24. All of this set the stage for bigger, complex maps that really just upped the game and the bar as far as forging was concerned. So if Halo was going to take up a new limit of what Forge can handle, then I was absolutely going to take full advantage of that. You may notice that towards the end of the time-lapse, I end up having to scour my map for blocks to delete in order to make budget to finish off areas desperately needed more blocks. When I said the limit, I meant it. The entire available budget, 7,000 blocks. I used all of them. All 7,000 possible blocks have been used in the creation of this map. Not a single block more can be placed. It really is just undeniably the absolute limit of what's possible. So this is actually my second attempt at making a map that pushes Infinite's Forge to the limit. The first got corrupted after an update broke Forge, which luckily I was able to retrieve most of. This was mainly due to the map having some complicated game mode script brains to run Infection, because Infinite didn't launch with Infection, thanks Free for Free. So this second attempt is my first completed map. The other is coming, don't worry, it will serve as a sequel to this one, and I think you're going to enjoy what I have in store for both of them. Amidst the bugs on every update, the server disconnects, constant crashes, losing hours of work, one of which was actually caused by a power outage because I live in a self-proclaimed first world country that's actually degraded into a second world country. I was eventually able to drag myself through and finish Viralix. Needless to say, Viralix is heavily influenced by Night City, if you couldn't tell already, from Cyberpunk 2077. That bridge that you see at the beginning of the video is actually from Japantown, and it's the first part of the map I created. It's also my favorite location inside of Night City. The multi-tiered levels of the city that you can explore that overlap each other, and you can jump from one level to the next, climb around the buildings. There's just a lot to explore. I've also included a little bit of New Mombasa into this map's DNA as well. The map really took everything out of me. To give you an idea of what I mean by this, when I was in secondary school, or high school for those of you that are American, there was a point when the year group I was in, we had to decide whether we were going to study IT or computing. So we weren't really well informed of what differentiated the two beyond IT is about using computers and computing is about how they work. Obviously, looking back, I understand it's very obvious. IT is just generic, everyday computer usage. Learning how to use the programs and software on board, whereas computing is about programming your own software and using coding languages. So 13-year-old me chose the second one, the computing, because I thought, well, I already know how to use computers, so yeah, I failed that class. Computing was the bane of my existence for about 3 years. No matter how many after-school sessions or lunchtime sessions to catch up on the workload, I couldn't get my head around it. I ended up flunking that class with a solid U for ungraded at the end of all that was said and done for that subject. So to be introduced to Infinite's scripting system when it was announced, it was like getting a kick in the teeth. Except it accidentally straightened all of my teeth out, and I don't need to wear braces now. Because I forced myself to actually learn the scripting system for Halo and take the time to understand how it works. Being in my mid-20s now, not a 13-year-old anymore, I've got a lot more understanding about my learning process, what works for me, how I can pick new skills up. Whereas back then it was just sit in class, copy what the teacher does on the board, hope that you understand it. Usually not the case. So I was able to get to grips with Infinite scripting system eventually. I told myself that I wouldn't let myself forge anything if I couldn't script something worthwhile. So I gave myself an elevator pitch, literally. I aimed to make a working, functioning elevator. That was the first scripted thing I put in the map, and I worked on this for about 20 hours, and there were so many bugs. I just every single time I would playtest it, I'd restart the round, and there would be blocks in the wrong places when the round reset. The door would be open at the top of the elevator shaft when it wasn't supposed to be, so people would jump down into the shaft too early and end up dying to the kill boundary. It didn't really go well. But eventually I got it working. And I could have got it working in both directions and made it a repeated use elevator, but this is a linear infection map, okay? I swear, I promise, I could definitely do a two-way elevator. It's not that I can't, it's just that I won't. Alright, let's get that cleared up. So yeah, if you were one of those people who was helping me playtest this map during the early stages where the elevator just wouldn't work properly and people kept leaving because the map wasn't working properly, I just want to say thank you. You're a champ and you deserve a Lamborghini, but unfortunately I am flat broke. So yeah, there was a lot of challenges thrown at me during the process of making Viralix, and the hardest part was just finding the time to sit down and actually dedicate a good number of hours to progressing it. Most of the clips on the review are like 20-minute snippets where I just grab time in between arriving home from work and dinner being ready. So I didn't really have many days where I could just sit down and grind the map and forge for a long period. And that's why it took so long. I ran the numbers and I said if I was able to do just 3 hours a day every evening, the whole map would have been done in about 4 months. Instead, we're here 2 years later. So it's a little bit frustrating and a little bit disappointed it took so long, but hey, at least we're here now. As John Lennon said, life is what happens when you're busy making up plans. So wherever I could, I found some time to sit and put 10 minutes in, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. It's amazing when you just find 10 minutes and then another 10 minutes and then another, and what that can equate to over a long period. You would reach just small moments of time, just collectively across a longer period, what you can accomplish. So this map has been my tutorial, if you will, to learn Infinite's Forge, and I took the time to maximize every single aspect of Viralix, the lighting, scale, scripting, gameplay, all of it. I mean, maybe scale's a bit of a lie, it's 1/3 of the playable canvas, but any larger, and it just wouldn't have made sense. You're talking, it's basically going to be mostly a flat open field. So you can bet that whatever comes next is easily going to blow this out of the water. I started forging Viralix without any real understanding of what those limitations are, but now I know exactly where those limitations are and how to make the most of them. How to approach forging a map in a framework that allows me to make the most of the budget and the tools that I can exercise in creating the map. I have a lot of ideas that I want to work on, but they're going to take time. As much as Viralix was the slow drip that splits the rock, I don't really expect to release more than one map per year without help, at an optimistic estimate. This map undoubtedly even now still needs some work. It hasn't really been fully play tested in its current state. If it plays perfectly, then I will eat my hat because there's so much going on with it that it's far more likely for the map to have 12 bars rather than none. What aside, I'm really excited to share this with you and to play freely.